Today, asylum seekers once again being allowed to cross the border after a White House policy change. How the vaccine shortage is going to affect local sites going into the weekend, and how much supply the governor says California is scheduled to receive once shipping picks back up. Those shipping delays being caused in large part by storms in the Midwest. The progress now being made to help residents there in some dangerous situations.
ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
Hello there. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. I'm Virginia Cha. We are joined remotely by my co-anchor Jim Patton, as well as 10 News meteorologist Megan Perry. We're going to hear from both of them in just a moment. But first, we want to start with this. President Biden's new immigration plan goes into effect today. That allows migrants seeking asylum to wait in the U.S. That rolls back the Trump administration's Remain in Mexico policy. ABC 10 News reporter Cassie Carlisle is live at the West Port of Entry in San Ysidro. And Cassie, I understand you saw consulate officials coming in there this morning.
Right. Good morning, Virginia. We've been waiting out here for hours, and we did see a couple SUVs enter the facility that did have U.S. consulate plates. We also saw a large black bus with tinted windows leave the facility around 9:45. We cannot confirm at this point, but we do believe that those migrants, that first batch, were on the bus. A huge relief to all those on board.
Some have waited in Mexico for years for this opportunity. Vanessa Garcia is from Honduras, and she said she's been living in a hostel in Tijuana with a 3-year-old son. She said, "We've been waiting for a long time for a response. Quite a long time. We've been patiently waiting." The answer coming from the Biden administration, rolling out a new plan cutting down the Trump administration's Migrant Protection Protocol, or MPP. The policy enacted out of fear migrants released into the U.S. weren't attending their court date. Syracuse University analyzed data from the Department of Justice and found that 76% of asylum-seeking families at the border attended all of their hearings, and families that had a lawyer to help navigate the process was even higher at 99%. Biden's policy started with 25 migrants coming through the San Ysidro Port of Entry, according to the executive director of Border Angels, a nonprofit immigrant advocacy group. Once the program is up and running, 2 Texas port of entries will also be added, each port of entry processing about 300 migrants a day, according to officials, giving hope to those fearful for their lives like Noemi, saying, "I came here with my 4 children, and the truth is we can't go back to Guatemala because if we do, I'm afraid they will kill me and my children."
Once here in the U.S., advocacy groups say that those migrants will most likely be placed in locations outside of San Diego. Reporting live here in San Ysidro, Cassie Carlisle, ABC 10 News.
Cassie, thank you so much. Local vaccine sites facing shortages, and the Petco Park Superstation is set to close over the weekend. That winter storm hitting much of the country, delaying shipments of thousands of doses. County says Petco Park Superstation closure may extend to Sunday, Monday, and depending on the vaccine arrival. All county pods in the San Marcos Superstation will be offering second doses only. People impacted will be rescheduled through the MyChart as well as emailed. Meanwhile, this morning, Governor Newsom giving us an idea of how many vaccines are on the way to California. Newsom tweeting out these figures, saying that this is how many doses California is receiving from the federal government in the weeks ahead. The allotment gradually increasing week by week into March. That increased supply coming ahead of the state's plan to open up vaccinations to teachers, among others.
35 counties in the state of California currently are prioritizing vaccinations for teachers and educators. We want to operationalize that as the standard for all 58 counties in the state. So effective March 1st, not only are we doing that through our third-party administrator, but we are also setting aside 10% of all first doses.
The governor also said the baseline would be 75,000 doses every week for educators and child care workers. He also said even with the current delays, he is confident this is an achievable goal in terms of vaccine supply in the coming weeks. And some new information from Pfizer today about storing its vaccine. You may remember originally Pfizer said its vaccine needed to be stored at 94 degrees below zero. Well, now Pfizer is saying data shows its vaccine can be stored at temperatures closer to about 13 below zero. Now that, the company says, would keep doses stable for up to 2 weeks. Pfizer says this news means it could be easier for locations to store the vaccine and manage their supplies. Well, new today, state health officials making changes to guidelines on youth sports, loosening up restrictions. They say now outdoor youth sports will be allowed in counties where the adjusted daily case rate is at or below 14 per 100,000 people. San Diego still wouldn't meet that requirement. Our county is currently sitting at an adjusted case rate of a little over 22 per 100,000 people. And previously, the state tied different sports returns to different tiers on its watch list. So this appears to lower the bar going forward. Virginia?
Thank you, Jim. Another twist in the ongoing sexual assault case involving ex-NFL player Kellen Winslow Jr. In a North County courtroom this morning, he agreed to a change in his plea deal. ABC 10 News reporter Natay Holmes explains what that means for the former pro athlete.
Kellen Winslow was convicted of multiple charges, including forcible rape back in 2019. Jurors deadlocked on some charges, forcing a retrial. But before that could happen, things took a surprise turn when Winslow agreed to plead guilty to charges of rape, indecent exposure, and lewd conduct. Now, in court this morning, another twist. The former NFL player withdrew his original guilty plea and pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of assault with attempt to commit rape.
I just wanted to know if I was to go to trial, would I get an actual jury of my peers that people of color that would look like me? Would I get a jury trial like that?
Due to the pandemic, this was a virtual hearing. Winslow video conferenced in from George Bailey Detention Center. The hearing lasted about 15 minutes. This included a short recess where the judge excused Winslow's lawyer to give his client a call in order to be sure that Winslow understood the terms of his plea modification. The modification plea will change the number of years Winslow could be in jail. He was looking at 12 to 18. Now both sides agreeing to a 14-year sentence. The sentencing is scheduled for March 3rd at 9 a.m. Natay Holmes, ABC 10 News.
Now to the latest on the dangerous situation in the Midwest, which has been battered by frigid snowstorms. Power finally being returned to millions in Texas, but many are still dealing with a host of other issues. ABC's Rena Roy has the details.
First, it was their lights and heat, and now another problem.
There's no water in the stores, and the stores are closed.
A hunt for the most basic necessity. 13 million Texans advised to boil their water if they have it, after pipes froze during the widespread power outages. Mass water distribution sites now set up in Houston, people already lining up.
Been here up since 5 o'clock, and I've been on the road since 6. And I know it's at 11:30, but I'm going to sit here until, I have no choice. All the stores in my area are out of water.
In San Antonio, firefighters battled this fire Thursday night at an apartment complex without their most crucial means of defense.
The main concern is water supply. All these hydrants out here are frozen and there's no water.
Burst pipes causing scenes like this. Bikes and cars transformed into giant icicles in Galveston, and in Dallas, this man's apartment destroyed.
It just sounded, like a waterfall hitting.
With millions suffering all week, Senator Ted Cruz facing backlash after he and his family skipped town, flying to warm and sunny Cancun, Mexico, saying his daughters wanted to get out of the cold after their power also went out.
It was obviously a mistake, and in hindsight, I wouldn't have done it. I was trying to be a dad.
President Biden says there is help on the way, with FEMA delivering generators, liters of water, blankets, and meals to Texas as families struggle to get by right now. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.